as a spiritual person, as a magical person, a loss like that changes you, and then therefore changes your spiritual practice, especially for you, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what that spiritual practice is for you now and how that has changed you, if that's okay?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So in my own personal life of my spiritual practice, that has never waned, even from the time of Raven's loss. That has been a continuous support of and giving me strength to be able to really face the world and have a relatable reality. Because and I've said this before, that if I did not believe in our practice, that I didn't know the things that I teach and that I have done for years were a real sentient thing for me, I would be a hypocrite if I just completely fell apart and went into this demise. Because the truth of the matter is that it is the turn of the wheel. We have birth, life, death, and renewal, and I fully believe in that. And so that part of my own personal practice has continued to give me a great source of comfort. And then as far as the tradition goes, the Ash.Birch.Willow tradition, which Raven and I developed, within the tradition, our titles were the sacerdote, which designate, if you wanted to relate it to something, would be the high priest, and the sacerdotessa would be the high priestess. However, the difference between those two titles in, let's say, Wicca, and in our particular practice, is that those designate the keepers of the sacred. And so with that title, I stepped into that title when we developed the tradition, and I am continued to be that person in the tradition as well. I will say that I've taken a little bit of a step back right now, because I'm trying to, again, get my personal life on completely online and going, which we can talk about later. But the tradition itself is thriving. We just, in fact, initiated somebody new this past full moon on Monday night, and it's we don't have great numbers, because it's not really about that. It's really about the seekers who are looking to have their spiritual evolution enriched, and give them an enchanted worldview from which they can evolve, and have a fully actualized life, if I want to use that terminology, where they really feel comfortable that they're living their full life. So here I still have the temple upstairs on the 3rd floor,
which is amazing and gorgeous and like mind-blowingly incredible. If you, obviously, most people haven't seen it, but I've had the privilege of being in that.
And since you've seen it, I turned it into Raven's occult library.
Oh my goodness.
So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's an amazing, when you step in there, and this is across the board, people who are not witchcraft people, who are just regular people, and witchcraft people, the minute they step into that room, it's like it envelops you.
Yeah.
With this peace, with this serenity, and people want to stay in there. I think the only thing that probably would keep them from doing that, the normal regular people, is my altar. My working altar is right there, and it's got the god and goddess, and it's got a skull in the middle, and on the skull, there's a candle, and there's wax all melted on it. So
it's so witchy.
Yeah, what is she doing? So the first thing I always say is, oh, by the way, the skull represents, it's the vessel of our ancestors, and it's the container of all the knowledge that's gone before us. So it's nothing creepy, nothing, and I'm just trying to,
explain it to the muggles.
Yeah, please don't think that I'm wicked or weird or anything. And they all walk out just going, okay. Nobody ever really questions it, which I find so very interesting. But
they're just like, just chalk it up to whatever.
Well, they do, which fascinates me, because I'm always thinking there's going to be this, visceral reaction to it. Never. In fact, a couple of them said, that's really interesting, but I think, again, it's all in the presentation,
Yeah. Yeah.
because when you meet me, I'm a pretty normal person. I mean, I don't,
Yeah. I mean, for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part.
In the best possible, in the most not normal, because I mean, let's be honest, being normal, as my dear sweet partner would say, as Justin would say,
Yeah.
is boring and unimaginative.
Yes, yes.
Usually
the word that I've heard that I'm hearing describe me is intriguing, which I find kind of fascinating in itself. You're a very intriguing person. Okay, that's a good word.
Right. Well, to the pagan community, you fit right in.
Yes.
And everyone knows who you are, and everyone, has a certain expectation of how, of your amazingness, which you project as a teacher, as a leader, as an elder. But in the Muggle world, people see that and they're like, there's something about her that, right? Because like you said, like you blend in, like I can blend into the Muggle world. I'm still me. But I blend in. Like I can go to, well, that's exactly what we do at Cucina, right? I can wear a t-shirt and jeans and go to a farmer's market and sell magically infused olive oil, and nobody thinks anything of it. They're like, oh, cool, olive oil, whatever. But then I can immediately turn around and go to, a big pagan festival and, put on my witchy garb and my hat and douse myself in incense and I fit right in there as well. So but I'm still me. Yes. Right? You're still you in those environments.
So my feeling about that is that we are magic. We're it's just like being a part of nature. We're not separate from nature. We are nature. We are just a different combination of atoms put together. And yes, we have different ways of interacting with the world than animals and trees and flowers, etc. However, that doesn't discount that we are nature. And so I believe that, being a spiritual person, being a witch, knowing about magic, there's a part of our tradition which says that we wield the forces of all tides and seasons. That's part of what we do. And so we are imbued with this energetic field that never goes away, because like you said, it's who we are. And if you want to say it's in our aura, that's a good way of saying it. But there is something that is different and people want to touch it. They want to touch that. What is that? What's going on here? I would like some of that. It's not, when I say they want some of that, I don't mean they want
I want some of that. I want some of that. Yeah.
I'm waiting for that day. Okay, my heart is now open, so I'm waiting for that day, that possibility. But they, like you said, there's something there because we bring something different to the table.
Yeah.
And that's just in our being. And I think that although I feel, doing magic and spells when needed are a good thing, but I rarely rely on that myself, because I am, in my words and my actions and my deeds, who I am at the core of who I am, my character, my moral compass, my ethics, my integrity. That's all my magic.
It is so wonderful and refreshing to hear you say that. And for me, being a witch, being a pagan, is how I walk through the world. It's how I go from situation to situation. It's how I relate to myself, to others, to nature, to situations, to stress, to joy. It's everything that is my being. And it's very interesting to hear you say that, because it embodies so much of the way I feel about who I am. I don't think, and I've said this over and over again, I don't think the path of paganism, the path of witchcraft is something we do. I think it's something we are. Right. And I can remember going back to when we first met, being a little bit intimidated, right? Because here you are, and you're, oh my God, Stephanie Grimassi, as I would say, the great Grimassis. And
You often said
always the great Grimassis, and you have to do it.
Cute.
For those of you who are not watching this on video and you're listening to it, there's a hand gesture that goes along with it. That's like the Queen Elizabeth wave. It's the great Grimassis, and there is some sort of a genuflect with it as well. But that you are known as teacher. You're known as inspirer. You're known as this person. And I can remember having many conversations with you and with Raven about, me saying, oh, I don't do the kind of rituals that you guys do. My magic is in the kitchen. My magic is in cooking. My magic is just in who we are.
Right.
And having those conversations with you guys about, it is who you are at the core of your being. It's not what you do, because when it is the core of your being, everything you do is witchcraft. Everything you do is magic, right?
I do feel that the teachings, having teachings that can orient you to understand the natural world and how we resonate with that, how we might see the divine blueprint in nature, that's what gives us our enchanted world view. And when I say that, what I mean by that is, our ancestors. In fact, I was just thinking about this when I was gazing at the full moon. I was thinking, wow, I really do wonder, what did our ancestors think about that orb in the sky? This illuminated orb, and then it's setting and it's rising and it's diminished, it's growing light and then it's diminishing light. I mean, I've just on Monday night just gazing at it and thinking, wow, I mean, how did they come to describe that and feel about that? Because it gives off a magnetic vibe, which changes everything. That's why the tides come up. That's why, we have all of these things happen during a full moon, because that emanation, and again, magically thinking about this, the emanation of the moonlight shining down on us, metaphorically meaning that we are being illuminated in the dark, literally, because she is shining down, and so she's illuminating everything around us, which then is a metaphor for the light that is within us, which we call the divine spark, it illuminating us within to radiate out as well. So as within, so without, as above, so below. As above, so below, as within, so without. That whole culmination of things, all of these are things to orient us around a better understanding of, I think, our place within this dimension, the earthly dimension. And I think sometimes that we get caught up in our personal importance, that we feel that the whole world kind of evolves around us, and everybody's thinking about us, talking about us, doing us, where, if we would just focus on what our own magic is and creating, our world that we want it, the world we want it to be, and doing it through the enchanted worldview, that gives us a very harmonious orientation. And I don't want to say filter, but sometimes we do need a filter because of all the input that's coming at us, all this constant,
absolutely,
diverting types of things, that it helps us just let that flow by us, like the voice of the wind, just don't even go in my brain, just go over me and beyond me, and let me stay, grounded in what I really feel is the most important thing in my world. Now, you must have a personal, what do I want to say, a personal directive in order to keep your life going. But again, not really creating this whole Netflix series around yourself is really kind of important.
I think you made a really good point when you had said, learning and understanding, giving you sort of like
a roadmap.
A roadmap, right? So yes, we are magic and everything we do is magic. But I always come back to self and knowledge of self, and knowledge of the world around us, healing of self, because you cannot heal the world around you if you are not fully healed.
Right.
And you do that through educating yourself. You do that through understanding and exposing yourself to teachings and philosophies and other people's opinions, and learning history, and becoming familiar with all kinds of traditions, and picking what works for you and what heals for you and what feels like it can help you move that energy through, so that you can be the best version of yourself, right? Which is, as what you said before, using the craft to self-actualize.
Right.
Right? Using your tradition to become the best version of yourself in all avenues of your life. Not just, I'm a great magician and I know how to do this type of ritual, but I know how to communicate properly when I'm having an issue at work, because I have this deep understanding of my spiritual self.
Absolutely.
Right? So all of those things are interconnected, in my opinion, are interconnected to best self and best version of ourselves through spirituality, mental health, and all of these things. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that, you have to address the 4 levels of consciousness, which are your physical, spiritual, mental, and emotional. And wellness comes from understanding those levels and how they impact your life on a daily basis. And, we had a saying where you can have a base of knowledge. You can read all the books in the world and you can gain a lot of information, but it has to go from knowledge to realization. And the realization part is, everyday life, oh my God, this is really happening type of thing. And then understanding how to implement that knowledge in realization. And then from the realization part, I truly believe it has to go into actualization. So, you're realizing something and now you must take action that's going to move you in the direction that you want to go in. And there will always be challenges. And my son, he said, you fail fast, fail well, because then you'll recover very quickly. So there's nothing wrong with having challenges in your life, because that's what tempers us. Every moment of our day, we have choices. Right now, I'm making choices to use particular words to describe things, and to create a narrative that I think is important. You made a choice to have me on the show. I mean, all of these things, it's constant, and change is constant. And so, again, to be the best version of ourselves, we need to be mindful of where we put our attention.
Yes, in our own, yes, our own, right. And I talk about that so much, and I feel like I don't feel like it is discussed enough in the pagan circles, is that self-awareness. And when we talk about intentions, specifically when it comes to magical workings and energy workings, often people are like, oh, you have to make sure that your intention needs to be like this, your intention needs to be like that. And often I feel like some people will be like, oh, okay, I'm going to think about the thing I want, and that's my intention. The truth is, that's not it. It has to come from a clear, concise, open, loving, non-judgmental place within self, for self, right? So you cannot do, again, in my humble opinion, you cannot do certain types of magical work, or any type of magical work, if I'm being honest, without having a clear understanding of who you are at the core. Because if your subconscious is saying, I don't really think this is going to work, or I kind of hate myself, or,
I'm not deserving, I'm not worthy. Oh my
exactly.
God,
Right. Or your subconscious is going, I really hope this works. I really hope this works. And not going, I know this will work. Everything's going to work out. Maybe not how I expect it to, but it will. And having that true feeling of, I always feel like it's like a faith hammock, like that you're just laying in it and knowing that it will support you, even if it feels wobbly. If you don't have that, it doesn't matter if you're like, what words you say in your spell, or what incense you burn, or what food you cook. It doesn't fucking matter if that is not 100% clear in you. And as you're saying, I don't think that happens without the roadmap of wellness and pretty much handling your shit, right? Like,
Well, yeah, that right there is the clear point of it, is that magic is really, I mean, well, we have always taught that magic is a last resort. It's kind of like martial arts. You go, you learn martial arts, you now are a black belt and you can kill somebody with your hands. But I believe the first tenet, well, when I was taking Taekwondo with my son, the first tenet was walk away, was you don't engage. That's the first tenet. If so you can kill somebody, so what? Where is your, where's your moral compass with that? Was that what you wanted to do, was learn it so you could kill somebody, or you wanted to become confident to be able to, walk in peace and feel safe? Well, magic, I'm relating magic to that too, because when you do magic, it creates a current, a transmission. When you speak words, your breath is your life force. Every time you speak words, when we say words, and thoughts will become real. The essence of who you are, every breath you take, you're putting yourself out there into the world.
Yeah.
And so when you're speaking an incantation or you're saying a spell, you are changing everything, because you are transmitting an energy out into the ether. And you need to be prepared for the results of that. And like you were saying, I mean, intentions is important. However, like you're saying, it comes from within. It doesn't come from sitting there, like you're saying, and go, okay, well, I want $5,000. And no, it's deeper than that. It's deeper than the needs and wants, I think, and desires, or let's say desires. Our first protocol was you work in the physical world doing whatever you can in order to manifest that. Just like what I've done with my life. I have not done any spell work since, I don't even remember the last time I did any spell work. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it's been years since I've done spell work. I mean, real in-depth kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll light a candle. I'll light a candle for healing or intention or something like that, or creating sacred space. But I'm not going to sit down and verbally do an incantation.
Right.
Well,
write a whole ritual, write a whole spell for yourself, blah, blah, like a whole big thing. I agree with you 100. Like that's for like special occasions for me,
well, I will say that in 2017, that came back to bite us in the ass. There was a pretty significant thing done, and I'm not going to go into that because it's in the past. But I will say that the repercussions of, well, it was because of betrayal that it actually came into the light. However, nonetheless, the ramifications of casting a spell, you must understand everything and anything that can happen.
Absolutely.
And it's another reasons why you should really just doing it yourself. You should never really include other people in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that can become a dangerous and tricky little thing. But again, I mean, doing what you need to do in your life, working in your life to manifest what you want is really the way to go. And that's why I say we are the magic. I feel like, what I've been able to accomplish and been working on, and the vision, like you started with a vision, right?
Yeah. I mean, when I look back, I think, yes, somewhere in my mind, there was a vision, but at the same time, and still to this day, there is simply a faith that I'm going to be where I need to be, do what I need to do, and get where I want to go, regardless.
That's so important. But I mean, that in itself is a vision, though, because
correct.
I feel the same way, even though, I mean, there are times when, there's a fork in the road, but again, I'm not going to let anything stop me.
No, and there are no mistakes, right? If you take the right fork and you're supposed to take the left fork, you were meant to learn whatever you needed to learn even if it doesn't work out the way you think it's going to work out the first time,
Yeah.
you know? And I love all this because I know these are the principles of your tradition and what you teach and these philosophies. And it's just fucking brilliant. It's just a fucking brilliant. So I want to take a quick break. And then I want to come back and hear all about what you're working on and all of your new fancy schmancy.
Wonderful.
It's very exciting. It's very exciting what you have going on. So we'll be right back with the amazing, fantastic Stephanie Taylor Grimassi. How you doing? You okay? Yeah. Do you need a drink? Do you need to go take a pedal?
Actually, I'm going to take a little drink.
Okay. I got my big, usually I have something better than water, but not today.
Yesterday, because I go to the gym every day. So yesterday I had a ridiculous workout and I'm so sore today that today I took the day off from going to the gym.
Yeah.
Just to recover.
Just to recover. Just to recover. All right, my dear, you're all set. We're going to come back. Okay. We are back on the Cucina Aurora Kitchen Witchery podcast, another conversational witchcraft episode with the great and amazing Stephanie Taylor Grimassi. Okay, so Stephanie, you have some really, really exciting shit happening, like monumentally some things that have never been done before right now, specifically with the Legacy House. Can you tell everyone about Legacy House and the Living Legacy Museum? Because this shit, people, this is amazing. If you've ever wanted to have a glimpse of real witchcraft in this amazing historical building, Stephanie, please tell us all about it.
Yeah, I am very excited about having launched it and developed it, gone through the whole process of it. I'll give you a little background on it though, because it is kind of fascinating when you were talking about taking that fork in the road, and sometimes it's not, you shouldn't have gone down that road, but then you come up to another one and you take the right road. So it was kind of like that. For several years, people have been suggesting like turning the house into an Airbnb or a bed and
let's back up
breakfast.
a little bit and let's talk about the house itself, because some of our listeners might not know that you have this amazing historical home.
So this is an amazing and historical home. It's absolutely, I mean, I humbly say this because I feel I'm a steward. When Raven and I purchased the house in 2012, we did so thinking about ourselves as stewards of history, that we're maintaining this beautiful monument. And I'm continuing to do that. So this home was built in 1898 by a lumber and coal magnate from Enfield, by the gentleman named James Philip Gray and his wife, Julia Emma Gray. And they built this, it's 4,500 square feet. It's the woodwork in it on the first and the second floor is just, it's irreplaceable. It's virgin tiger oak. It's just fantastic. And all the detail work that this gentleman did, and he did not spare any expense on the structural foundation and the, all of the beautiful, like I'm just looking up at the crown molding is just amazing too. So it's got, the first floor is just dynamic. You walk into the foyer. First of all, you walk in the front door.
The front door.
The front door, the whole front door.
The whole front door. The porch, the leading up to the front door, and then the grand foyer. Okay.
Oh my God. Well,
I'm very, very lucky. So I have been in this home, and it really.
Well, you catered our housewarming.
I did. I catered the housewarming, and I did have quite a few opportunities to come and enjoy the home with you guys. And it's mind blowing because, like you said, you walk into this space and you're transported to a different time because everything is.
Ironically, everybody when they walked in would say, "Oh, this is like a museum."
It is. It really is.
So when you walk into the front door, there's a vestibule, and the vestibule is closed off by two pocket doors. Well, these two pocket doors. Now you have to imagine Raven and I were walking in to see the house, to look at it. We walk, he opens the front door, we see these pocket doors that are closed, and in them are these beautiful vertical stained glass pieces, which are torches, 2 torches.
It's unreal. It's
Yeah.
unreal.
So we immediately went, oh my God, that's significant, you
Mhm.
know? And so we came in and started looking around, and I know, I can remember this. We kept looking at each other and just going,
Yeah. Oh my God.
and we didn't
oh my
want, you know,
God.
we didn't want the realtor to know how freaking excited we were
Yeah.
about it. But first floor has a beautiful sitting room with a fireplace. It's gas right now, but it, you know, we converted it to gas. It's also wood burning, but it has the original, the mantle is just phenomenal. It has the original tile that's all around it and in front of it. It's just amazing. And it has carved on it wyvern dragons, which were, I think Raven said they were originally to guard against the Christians, that they had something to do with like warding the house.
That's hilarious.
Yes, fascinating. And then within the fireplace itself, there's a wrought iron fireback, and that has symbology that was representative of the goddess Diana, and on it, which just, again, we just went, oh my God.
Oh my
We felt that these were all signs to us, you know.
100%.
And as we went through the house, we were just blown away. And then we go up to the 3rd floor, and the grand room, which is the full length of the house and half the width.
Mm-hmm.
We went, oh my God, this is the temple room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can have gatherings here.
Mm-hmm.
We can do ritual in here. I mean, it was just, we're blown away. And as we're walking down the stairs to leave, I can remember Raven come. I see it so clearly on my Raven's on the last flight of the stairs coming down the 1st floor, and he turns to the realtor. He goes, "We want to make an offer."
Yep. Yep. And it is literally, it's everything that Stephanie is saying and more. This space is just
phenomenal.
You really do feel transported when you go into that space. So now at this point, Stephanie, you've made this a living legacy museum, right?
Well, I want to go back too and say that in 2017, the house was struck by lightning and set on fire. And the fire was contained on the 3rd floor, but it devastated the 3rd floor. And then the water from fighting the fire came, you know, flooded down the staircases, and, you know, went out into the other rooms on the 2nd floor, and then it continued down to the 1st floor. 2nd floor was pretty much damaged, but the 3rd floor, I mean, the 1st floor was not as badly damaged, had water damage. But it was condemned that day, and we had to move out. And the company, we had contractors come in, and they spent the next 16 months putting the house back together. But in that time, I got to choose all the colors for the rooms. I got to select all the wallpaper.
All the wallpaper.
Oh, it's I brought it to show you. You remember that?
I remember because I came out to the temporary house you guys were in, and we sat in the dining room just looking at wallpaper samples and all that. And it's just
I mean, so now the house really has my thumbprint on it. And that was fortuitous in that I didn't really think I would be alone at this stage of life. And my main concern was, at that time, Raven was very ill, and I threatened the construction company. I said, if you don't get us back into that house pretty damn soon, you're going to be in big trouble, you know.
Right.
And they did their best, but again, it was kind of a, you know, bittersweet homecoming. So now, my son came out to visit me in January of 2020, and he was talking to me about life and my quality of life, and he was concerned for me. You know, he was concerned for me taking this on, being able to afford it. You know, what kind of pressure that was going to put on me. Genuinely, you know, he had my best interest at heart. And he was here for 2 weeks. Well, by the time, I think the first week, I think I told you I was very ill the first week he was here. And then he must have been working on me, because by the 2nd week, I had agreed to sell the house.
Wow.
And while he was here, I had a realtor who actually sold us he was the seller's realtor when we purchased the house, and I had become friends with him in the interim. So I called him and I said, hey, could you come over and talk with me and my son about, the dynamics of selling this house and what that would entail, and what do you think, would be a listing value, blah, blah, blah. And so I had agreed to go ahead and sell it.
Wow.
And so from January until the third week in March, I had spent all of my efforts culling the house from all the knick-knacky stuff, because he wanted everything to look, kind of stark. Because he goes, people need to come in and visualize their own, how they're going to be here. So I packed away my life. And our life. And I had the house already. He came and took all the photos. The listing was done. And then COVID hit.
Oh my goodness.
So this was the fork in the road.
Yep.
Thank the gods.
Yes. Yes.
Because I called him. I said, hey, I'm not listing the house. Because I was doing, interestingly enough, I had scheduled to list astrologically.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was waiting for that astrological date to come.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he wanted to list it way back.
Yeah.
Which would have, who knows what happened. So I was waiting. So the week before the listing was going to go up, I said, I'm not listing the house. And
well, yeah. I mean, that's a safe thing to do too, right? Because especially at the
I said,
beginning of COVID, you don't have people traipsing through your home. I mean, come on, it's just crazy.
No. And I didn't want to do a virtual tour. I just wasn't interested at that moment in time. No. And then I started looking at where was I going to move? And what this was like, this is my life asset. This is my retirement, if you want to say something.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was nothing like that in our life. And so this was really my nest egg. So I started looking at where was I going to move? What was it going to cost? Was I going to be able to buy, et cetera, et cetera. I started looking in the areas I wanted to. There was no place. So what I found was a house half this size in a neighborhood that was not like this neighborhood. And I would be paying exactly the same mortgage payment.
No.
And that's when I said, I'm not moving. And then I started talking to some people about an Airbnb. I thought, you know what? I think I could do that. I considered roommates, and then I said, nope, not going to do that. I got on a roommate site, and everybody was in their 20s, and they had all of these weird things that they, oh yeah, I can bring somebody home. I don't care, I mean, just weird shit they were going to do. And I said, I'm not having that happening. So then
you don't need to be a house mother to a bunch of 20-somethings.
Exactly.
No.
That was no. And worry about who they were bringing in and out of my house. No way. So then somebody started talking to me. I said, you know what? I'm going to do the Airbnb. And so I decided to do the Airbnb. And so I went about setting the house up for that. And the third floor is perfect for that. Albeit the temple room, I made into, as I said, Raven's occult library. So I moved all of his bookcases and I don't know, his thousands of books up there. And it's a wall-to-wall bookcases. And there's two large curio cabinets as well with a lot of his collectible things of his life that are in there that meant something to him. So, and there's also the ancestral altar, where I actually have Raven's ashes at this time. And then there's 2 bedrooms and a full bath. And then on the second floor, there's also a common area room, which I call the cozy room, which is, I sit in there every night because it's so damn cozy.
Yeah.
And so then I started thinking about Raven's legacy. That came after the Airbnb. Because I started thinking about, well, what does Raven's legacy look like to me? What does that mean? And I had a very good friend tell me that it's a great idea for you to preserve Raven's legacy. However, you also need to think about your own legacy.
Absolutely.
And what are you creating with your life going forward? Who are you? What are you about? what are you going to do? How is that looking to you? And I thought, wow, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I mean, and I knew I had to do something, but you know, at that particular time, that wasn't really in my mind. So that's what came to me was, you know, I think I am going to do a museum. I think I'm going to curate all of his things that are important to him, that are speak about him as a man. And that was one of the things that I came to realize, and I've come to recognize, is that it's been 2 years now, that when I look at a portrait of Raven, I see a man who was an individual who was so unique and so mystical and magical in his own right as an independent human being. That's how I see him now. My love for him as my husband, my lover, all of that, that remains within my heart. But looking at him now, I see the character of the individual. And if I were going to say one thing about him, if I wanted to emulate him in any way, it would be developing the quality of character, which includes, again, the integrity, you know, ethics, all of those things that made him who he was. That is so important to me. And it's made me appreciate him so much more as a human being, as just this man, as a man who lived his life in the fullest way that he could.
Absolutely.
You know, and that I was honored and to enable him to be everything that he wanted to be in this lifetime. That is very fulfilling and gratifying to me. And, you know, not without being morose, but to have the privilege of actually crossing him, birthing him into his new life, was just something I can't even describe, nor will I ever forget that honor and privilege of doing that. And
I understand that completely.
yeah, and that's really why I want to have the Living Legacy Museum, because I want people to come and enjoy, because there's so many people who did like him and found him fascinating. And I mean, he had a huge readership. I'm still has a huge readership. I shouldn't say still,
Absolutely.
I mean, did, because he still does. And I think people can be fascinated to know, again, come to know the man that he was beyond just the writer and the teacher and the witch, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because there's so much more of a depth of a human being and a, you know, sense of humor. When I think about Raven, I see him, you know, sitting there with his, like, I just see him like sitting in a chair in the room, in a crowded room, but with this little puckish smile, because he's secretly making jokes in his head about everyone in the room in the most loving way possible. And you know, that's how I think of Raven, as, you know, a mentor and a teacher, but mostly as a friend and someone, you know, a loved one, a dear loved one. And there, like you said, there's so much more to his writing and his teaching than just what's in the book. And so what you're doing in this museum is you are preserving and you are allowing people to experience who he was as a person and who he continues to be in spirit. And it is just an amazing thing. So the fact is, you now have this physical space in which you can share his life, and thereby his teaching and spirituality with the world. And then on top of that, if you want to, you could stay there because it's an Airbnb. So it's you this amazing, gorgeous historical home that is a monument to this great teacher and great human being, but also you can stay there. I mean, it is right. It's like you know, witchy Mecca. Like you can just, you know what I mean? Like it's just.
I know what I mean. I know what you mean, but I don't, you know, let's see what happens. I mean, I'm hoping that the response to, you know, wanting to come in and have that experience, that people will want to do that. Now the museum I'm offering on Raven's Loft, the web store. It is a private. So let me describe this. So it is a private museum in that I am not putting a shingle out on the front lawn, and I'm not advertising it. And you don't have to have a membership to come to visit. You do have to make an appointment, but I'm offering membership levels too, that have certain perks to them. And you can go on Raven's Loft and see that. But when I say it's a private museum, I'm just saying that it's not open to the public. Like nobody can just walk up off the street and come into the house.
Correct. You would need to call and make an appointment, or you need to register online to make an appointment. So you could come just for one visit if you were to call and make an appointment. However, you can get a membership, and that gives you certain perks, I would guess. Basically,
with a membership, you can come. Yeah, you can still make the appointment. You know, it costs $10 to come in to see the museum. The library on the third floor, if somebody wanted, for instance, to come and with approval, because these books are valuable, and they're a resource which I want to offer. But if somebody wanted to come and spend the day in the library, they could make an appointment to do that too.
Absolutely.
I haven't done a lot of this detailing of the museum, because I'm starting to get ideas about, I need to be able to say this and that and that kind of thing. So when regular people come from the Airbnb, they do not have access to the library. That door is locked.
Right. They would need to make that separate appointment. They'd have to pay separately to see
I'm
the
talking
museum.
I'm talking about muggles. Muggles don't have access to the library, but any person from the community who wanted to, view the library, yes, they would make an appointment and could do that as well. When they're staying here, they would have access to the museum. To the library as well too.
This is just such an amazing and unique, thing that you've created. I don't want to say it's an organization, because it's not, but it's this whole encompassing entity of its own. And you're just starting this. I mean, this went live like a month ago. It
went live on his birthday, April 12th.
April 12th, right? So really, you've been working on this for a while, but it's only just went live very recently. I don't know what time when this episode is going to air. So some of the things that Stephanie is talking about may have changed in terms of membership benefits and things like that. So Stephanie, where can we find this information on the internet?
So right now, which is, I was going to wait until this was done, but right now I'm having the houseofgrimassi.com website completely revamped.
Excellent.
Eventually you will be going there. However, right now, if you want information about the Living Legacy Museum, you can go to Raven's Loft, and if you go to the home page and you look up on the left-hand side, you'll see navigation buttons. Right there, it says Living Legacy Museum. Just click on that and it will take you to the page where you can find out more information about that. And I'll be updating that as well.
Excellent. So right now it's ravensloft.com.
.biz.
Ravensloft.biz.
Yep.
And then eventually it will be at House of Grimassi.
Right.
And all of these things are interconnected, right? So if someone had a question, they could go on either one of these sites and email you via the site and get information, and it gets directly to you. So you would be able to answer them very quickly. And all this information, all these websites we're going to put on the notes for this episode. So you can go to the notes of this episode, you can just click on them and it'll bring you right to the information for Stephanie and the Living Legacy Museum and all of that.
And that's my intention too, is that, revamping the houseofgrimassi.com website, it will have everything inclusive on there. That's part of the dynamic of that. That's been a long time coming, but I really feel good about that too.
It's amazing.
And
it's amazing.
If you wanted to book the Airbnb, you would go directly to the Airbnb platform. You would put in, my listing is the Legacy House, and it'll take you to my listing, and there you can, make a request to stay at the house. And right now, I believe the calendar is completely open.
We'll
So,
also put that, we'll put that link for the Airbnb Legacy House. We'll put
okay,
that link as well on this episode so people can check that out.
yeah.
You know, I think especially as people are getting vaccinated and travel is opening back up again, there's a lot to do. She's out in Springfield, Massachusetts. There's a lot to do in Springfield, Massachusetts. There's a lot to see there. There's a lot to do.
And in the
So
surrounding areas.
the surrounding area, it's not too far from New York. It's not too far from New Hampshire. Like you're not at all too far from Boston. So it's a really great location. Even if you were just going to take a weekend trip. And for our witches out there, you could see the museum and you can stay in the Airbnb. You'd have to book those things separately, but what a cool weekend trip. I mean, come on, who doesn't want a witchy
Well,
weekend?
and Salem is only 2 hours away.
And Salem, Mass is only 2 hours away. So you really could make a whole, you know, pagan pilgrimage up to Massachusetts and spend some time. Really, really amazing. All right, I have one more question with you before we go. Okay. And I'm asking this to everybody.
Okay.
All right. This is my fun question. Obviously, I'm a kitchen witch and I have cooked for you before. Okay. But if you could have me cook one magical meal for you, what would it be and why?
Oh boy.
I know it's a hard question.
Well, it would probably be beef Wellington.
Really? Beef Wellington?
With Yorkshire pudding. Because I can't do that myself, but I know that you could. And I know that, I mean, I like Italian, but it's not
your favorite.
It's not my favorite. But yeah, something that would be, yeah, because I love that. It's an ancestral food for me.
Yeah.
And when I think about you cooking with love, you know, you put your magic into all you cook, that I think that comes through, your ancestral current comes through with that love, you know.
Well, I'll tell you, I've never ever made a beef Wellington in my life.
So that's a challenge for you.
That's a challenge, and I've always wanted to.
Oh.
You know, but I have a gluten allergy, so I can't eat the crust, and I'm not willing to make that gluten-free because it would never come out right.
No.
So basically what I'm doing is with all my guests, I'm creating a recipe based on them and what inspires me with them. And then I'm gonna put that recipe link up on the show notes so that if people wanted to create, you know, make a recipe that is inspired by the guest, this is the recipe. So I feel like I could definitely make a beef Wellington or even like a beef bourguignon for you, you know, a beef stew made with red wine, and it's like made for like 12 hours.
What about stroganoff?
I have a really good stroganoff recipe.
As you can see, I'm into beef. I don't eat a lot of it, but yeah.
But when you want it to be excellent. Oh, so with mushrooms and peas over like an egg noodle or a smashed parsnip. I feel like you need smashed parsnips.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
All right.
And I'm not a you know, I eat a very
eat a very healthy diet. Yes.
I do, and it's pretty damn strict.
Yeah. But you would make an exception for this.
That's what I was going to say, but there's times when I indulge because, you know, deprivation creates other things that aren't good. So yeah, I definitely indulge now and then, but I'm a real stickler for my everyday kind of diet.
Well, this would be our special occasion meal for the great and wonderful Stephanie Grimassi. Stephanie Taylor Grimassi. I have to say
I'm humbled by all of your, I don't know.
I absolutely fucking adore you. I mean, if you didn't know that by now, hopefully you realize it after all of this. I cannot thank you enough for spending this time with me. I've had the best time catching up with you. I love seeing your face. I feel like I'm so grateful that we had this opportunity, and I can't wait until I'm fully vaccinated and I can come and drive out to Springfield and give you the biggest hug and maybe a pile of beef stroganoff. I mean,
oh my gosh,
it could happen.
I would love that. And again, thank you so much for the opportunity to come on the show. I've just adored being here, talking to you, seeing you too. It's been too long, and I will get my vaccine. I
know you will. I trust you. I'm very proud of you. I love you to pieces.
Yeah, well, I was thinking too with the Airbnb, it really would be a much better thing now.
You need to get that because you got to stay safe, you know.
So again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I heart you big time. And until next time, everyone, I leave you with many blessings and so much gratitude. Thank you so much for being here.
Blessed be everybody.
And blessed be to you.